So hello everybody and welcome to The Good Life with Steve. I am Steve and it's always a pleasure to have you join me here. Listen, I've been away for a couple of weeks and I apologize, but I tell you what, I went to the dentist and no, it was nothing like that. So when we become expats, one of the major things that we want to account for is healthcare because it's important. But in this video, I want to particularly talk to you about dental care because dental care is part of our health care, although we kind of separate them. You get insurance for dental, you get insurance for health or medical care, as they call it, but they're both pertaining to your health. So it's important. And so over the past couple of weeks, I've been going through some things. And no, it was nothing like the Three Stooges. It was actually very, very professional. And they did a great job. I'm going to just tell you that up front, right? And here's what happened. I had a crown on the front, one of my incisors, right? And it was put in, I guess, back in the 90s, somewhere thereabouts, mid or early 90s. So that's like 30 years ago. So yeah, it had worn out its usefulness, and so it needed to be replaced. It had got kind of loose, right? And I was like, whoa, this isn't cool. So what I did is I reached out to the doctor, and I spoke to you guys about this doctor, this young lady that I visited in the past, and she referred me to a dentist office, and so I went there, but they were a little bit pricey, right? So I thought, well, let me look around a little bit, and lo and behold, I remembered that there is this thing called well vets here. And I'm not retired, and I wasn't medically discharged, so I'm not looking for, the full treatment. All I'm thinking is maybe they can just give me a good referral or something like that. And if I can just get a good referral, man, I'm good to go. That's all I need. And from that point, I can take it from there. So I called the people up to set an appointment, and really, I'm not expecting anything. Like I say, I just did a single tour, right, in the Air Force. And so I'm not medically disabled. I'm not retired. So I just want a referral. So what they say is, well, we'll give you a referral, but first you have to come in and visit with our doctors. Well, I'm thinking, well, that's sort of a waste of time, but okay, I'll play along. And here, let me, we're not doing coffee this morning, guys. We are on our second cup. As always, I get to have my first cup alone. Okay, I'm a solitary guy. My second cup, I'll share with you. And it's not coffee today. We're doing a little bit of a green, minty kind of tea with a little bit of honey in it. So, that's good. And tea's good at a time, in the fall, like in the winter, right? Tea's really good. Now, it doesn't really get as hot here as it does back in the States. It's a little cool, a little breezy here, but it's only because, that's only because we have a hurricane, to the west of us over here. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Anywho, so I go on in to see Dr. Para, and let's see, who was this contacting me? Who calling me on my cell phone? All right. Anywho, so I go in to see these people. Now, I'm going to a place called Well Vets, and let me just share with you a little bit about Well Vets because, I was pleasantly surprised. So I go in to see these people. Now, what Well Vets does is they care for military veterans, ex-military personnel. And I'm thinking, well, okay, if you'll just talk to me, but they said, yeah, come on in. We'll holler at you there, Mr. Steve, and we'll see what we can do to help you out. So I go in to see these people, and this is their website here. And down here, this is the doctor. You see these guys here and this older woman here. They do all the treatment, and they'll refer you out, take care of you, that kind of stuff. But Dr. Para here, this is who I went to see, the doctor there in the blue, treating the lady in the white blouse. But anywho, I go to see them. So I speak with her, and she's checking my vitals, check your blood pressure, breathe in, breathe out, all that kind of stuff. What medications are you on? What's your health history? I'm going, okay, well, this is a lot for someone who just wants to see a dentist. I didn't ask for all this, but okay, I'll play along. So then she says, okay, well, what I'm going to do is we're going to take you down the hall, and then we're going to talk to the dentist. Okay, so we go to see the dentist. Now, the dentist down the hall, that's Dr. Sosa. Dr. Sosa, she's, very nice lady. She's a dentist, Anyway, she checks me out and all that kind of stuff. But she says, well, okay, what we have to do is we need to have you to go see a specialist, and we'll refer you out to that. Okay, well, fine. Here's what they do. They send a car to pick me up. And then they take me to Wellvets. When we get to Wellvets, and this is another day after my initial visit at their clinic, we pick up the dentist there, Dr. Sosa, and then we go to the endodontist. I believe that's what that's called. Someone who does crowns and that kind of stuff, right? So we go see the endodontist. Now, while I'm there, she's my advocate. She talks for me. She gets the pricing for me. She does all of this stuff. Everybody at Wellvets speaks perfect English. I mean, just like they learned it in the U.S. So she speaks really, really well English. And there we are talking, that kind of thing. And she's talking to them. And she's, we go and we see a Dr. Nelson. Dr. Nelson's a real cool dude, right? So Dr. Nelson, he speaks a little bit of English, and we're able to communicate. But his staff, he has somebody on his staff who speaks English. And then again, Dr. Sosa's there with me, and she goes with me into the room to have all the stuff taken a look at. So here, what he does, he takes off the crown because it's loose already, right? Because it's pretty old. It's like 30 years old, right? So he takes off the crown, and what he does is he says, well, yeah, the problem here is that it's just that it's old, but the tooth underneath the crown is cracked, and we can't in good conscience just place a crown over a cracked tooth. We just can't do that. So you're going to need something more. So, all right. So we get done there. What he does, he puts on a temporary at the time. And actually I did one video with that temporary in. I didn't like it, but he put on a temporary there. And for all of this stuff, it cost me like $100. So, Dr. Sosa calls the car. The car comes back, takes us back to drop her off at the clinic. They take me home. A couple of days later, they send the car to get me again. And then we go to see a periodontist. Now, when we go see the periodontist, the periodontist is like super cool. I mean, she's like too cool. I mean, it don't even make no sense. But anyway, we go see the periodontist. And this is the periodontist and her staff. Now, she's really, really cool. So we go there. And what happens is she takes a look at everything that's going on, and she says, well, here's what's happening. The tooth you got, okay, yeah, we got to remove that tooth. And I've never had a tooth removed as an adult. When you're a child, you go to the dentist because all those teeth, they're going to come out anyway, right? And then your adult teeth come in. I've never had a tooth removed as an adult. That's a lot more involved than I ever expected, but she took care of that. But she said, also, you have another tooth back here in the back. So she did the one in the front. So you have another one back here in the back, a molar, that needs to come out. Molars are more difficult to get out than incisors. And then, well, we had to go through all of that. But let me say this. She did it with expertise. As a professional, there was not a whole lot of pain and all that kind of stuff. She kind of numbs you up and gives you, she had me all numbed up pretty good. So I didn't feel anything. I didn't realize she was doing all the stuff that she did. And then when she got done, I was like, wow, okay. But anyway, so she did all of that. Okay. Now, what people are probably wondering is, because we always do, we wonder what the cost is. Now, I want to share that with you because I hate it when people want to share something with me, but then they don't tell me the cost. Like people say, well, here's a house for sale, but they don't tell you the cost. Here's a car for sale, but they don't tell you the cost. They want you to call them. I got nothing to sell you, so I'm just sharing, right? So when everything is done, and here's what's being done. I have 2 extractions here and here. I'm having 2 implants, and I'm having 2 crowns. But the crown here, when they did the temporary, they said, well, you have fillings on either side of where the crown is going to go. And we're going to have to bridge across that crown to those 2 teeth where the fillings are. And what we're putting in will not adhere to what you have there. Those fillings were silver, I believe. So what they did is they removed that and refilled that. And then they just went ahead and did a whole cleaning and everything and just, make sure everything was tight and right. So all that came to this bill. And where is that? There we go. So There's everything. So what we're looking at there, and it was Dr. Nelson, yeah, that sent me the bill. I call him Dr. Nelson or Orsini, I think is, but I just said Dr. Nelson. Okay. But everything here is in Spanish, so I'm not going to try to translate all of this to you. I'm just going to tell you they don't itemize as quite to the extent that you might see back in in the States or maybe Canada, Europe, something. But but they do it all. What you're looking at here is again 2 extractions, 2 implants, 2 crowns, and all of that, right? So we're looking at 12,500, 35,000, 10,000, 28,000, 28,000, 9,000, 4,250, and then all that comes to a grand total of 126,750 pesos. Now, dividing that, well, you can divide by 60, but if I looked at the, and I did earlier, I looked at the current exchange rate, it's like less than $2,000, 1,900 and change. Let's call it, round it up, $2,000. Now, that may seem like a lot of money. And yeah, because we don't just throw around thousands of dollars. But this crown, the original crown that was here, when I had that installed back in like the mid-90s, with insurance, it was 1,100 and change. I'll never forget, because it's the only crown I've ever had. Well, only crown I ever had to pay for it. The other work was done when I was in the Air Force, so that doesn't matter. They just, but $1,100. And back then, and it's probably not very much different now, there are certain parts of your insurance that won't pay 80% or 100%. It only pays like 50%. And that's what it was paying back then. So that crown was a couple $1,000s back then for 1 crown. If 1 crown was a couple $1,000 30 years ago, I have no idea what it would cost by now. The costs have gone up so much that 1 crown might be 5, 6, 7,000. I don't know, but it will be a lot more today than it was back then. But to have, now then they didn't do an implant. They just kind of whittled down the broken tooth and put a crown over it. But to have an extraction or 2 extractions, 2 implants, and 2 crowns for less than $2,000, tell me, you tell me, does that sound right? Does that sound like it's too expensive? I know that people are thinking about moving overseas, getting out of the jungle, the matrix, or whatever you want to call it there, back in the U.S. or wherever it is you live, and you want to find a place that's peaceful where you can, but where you can still receive good dental and health care. What do you think? Does that sound like a price that you can afford to get, major surgery done in your dentist office? Because that's what this is. This isn't like a minor thing. Because they have to, that implant, they have to, once they remove the tooth, they have to put that thing up in like the bone in your, I'm like, oh, okay. I wasn't interested. I wasn't looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't quite the experience I was, because I'll be honest, I was a little bit apprehensive, okay? I'm in a foreign country. I'm getting medical care and health care or dental care done. But at the end of the day, as I sat there on one of my visits over to Well Vets, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to other military veterans. One guy was in the Army, the other guy was in the Air Force, like me. And so, I'm becoming more comfortable with the process. I see that the facility there is clean, it's professional. The people are kind and courteous. It's a good, it's a good environment where I could, not feel, not have anxiety. But here's one thing I want to tell you guys too. And I want to go ahead and share this with you guys here. I was going to do it in another video, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you this about Well Vets. Okay. Let me just change this over here. Okay. Let me just tell you this about Well Vets. Dr. Petter, the lady I showed you in the picture earlier, right? I had a conversation with her when I was there. And she told me some things that it just kind of flew over my head because, whatever. But then I got to thinking about it. This is more than enough. This is super cool. Here's what she told me, and it blew me away. She said, here's some of the things. She said, we can do a lot of things for you, but there are some things that you can receive for free, even though you're not retired from the military, but you did serve. And so if you are thinking about being an expat and you're thinking about moving to the Dominican Republic, it's probably available in other places too. But I'm not retired. I'm not medically disabled. She said, we can do these things for you. You know what? I'm going to see if I can find it here. That's Dr. Sosa. And where is Dr. Para? I hadn't talked to her in a while. She said that there are things that they can provide to me that for free. She said, we have a cardiologist. As a matter of fact, because I have a heart condition, they said, well, we want you to see a cardiologist before the periodontist does her thing, because we want to make sure that, you don't bleed out, because, you see my pharmacy, right, bill, right? So we've looked at 8 medications, and a couple of those are blood thinners. So, you want to be careful about all that stuff. So they said sent me to see a cardiologist right there at WellVets. I went to see a cardiologist at WellVets. Okay. And it cost me nothing to go in for a consultation. He takes a look at my medical records, because I showed him all that stuff on WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, but what's that app called? Where they send you all of your stuff on your phone, or you have an app. What is it called? I have My Chart. So, if you guys are probably seeing like My Chart like that, right? I don't know if you can see that in the thing, but can you see that? My Chart? Okay, right. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do it. We'll go back to the large screen. Okay. Fade over. There. Right? So I shared that with him so he could go ahead and see all of the treatments that I had received from my heart surgery. He's like, wow, man, they just like rewired your whole heart. We can't do that here, but we can take care of you now that it's done. So I go in to see him. He looks at all of that stuff, and he looks at my medical records. He looks at the pharmaceuticals that I'm taking, and he said, well, okay, what we need to do is take a look at your heart. So he wants to do, he puts the thing on your chest, and here's your heartbeat, have you breathe in and out. Then what he also did is he did an EKG while I was there. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he said, well, we also need to take a closer look at your heart. So let's do an echo. So he went ahead and did an echo. No charge. So I get to see a cardiologist at no charge. I get physical therapy because I have a spinal stenosis, right, in my lower back at L1, L4, L5, and S1, I think is what it is, right? My lower 3 vertebrae. They wanted to fuse them together in the States. So I'm like, no, we ain't doing that. We will not be fusing anything. Anyway, so I can go get that done. I can see an internist for, just simple stuff, getting in and out of the doctor's office. I can actually go in and I can get physical therapy once a week, and I can also get a massage once a week. Are you kidding me? A massage once a week? Man, I'm down with that, right? So I'm like, what? I don't get this in the States. I'm sorry. Well, maybe we do, but not to this extent, okay? And what's cool about when you're there, I mean, we're getting like strawberry and banana smoothies and that kind of thing. I mean, you're just living cool, man. I mean, this is the good life. This is the good life. And as well as my life is doing right now, as I said a moment ago, it's morning here still in the DR. And the tea is good. The weather is breezy and a little bit cool. But it's cooler than usual for a reason, and I want to talk to you about that. Because as well as I'm doing here, and I'm enjoying the good life, a lot of people aren't doing nearly as well. To the west of Hispaniola, which is the island that I'm on, there's an island called Jamaica. I woke up this morning, and I've been following it for several days, and perhaps you have too. They're having sustained winds at 175 miles per hour. Now, I can sit here and talk about how cool it is for me to be able to get all of this care, a lot of it for free, some of it at a rate much less than I would spend in the United States. But people over there, they are suffering, guys. And sometimes, and we think about how difficult our lives are, but at the same time, when we're griping and complaining about how things are in our lives, know you this for certain. somebody somewhere is doing much, much worse than you and would love to have your life, would give their left foot to have your life. They are enduring 175 mile an hour sustained winds. Let me tell you something about 175 mile an hour sustained winds. It ain't sustainable. That ain't sustainable. It ain't sustainable here. It ain't sustainable there in the States where many of you are, and it certainly isn't sustainable over there in Jamaica, in a developing country where people who live in conditions that are much more I don't want to say inferior, but the homes are just not as well built. Okay, and especially in the rural areas, 175 mile an hour winds sustained for hours, and not just that. They're having a storm surge on the south end of the island of 9 to 15 feet of water coming in from the ocean. Imagine the ocean coming into your home at 9 feet. We get 6 feet in the States, in South Carolina or something like that, and we're going, whoa, whoa, whoa. They're getting 9 to 15 feet. This is the largest and most powerful storm that island has ever seen. And on top of that 9 to 15 feet, they're getting rain of about 30 inches, nearly 3 feet of rain. Think about how things go in the U.S. when we get 2 or 3 inches of rain. We're losing our minds, and we have sewage systems, we have gutters, we have sewer systems in the streets that capture water when it runs off. Right? We have all this runoff protection. They don't have that there. And so when we are griping and complaining about how difficult our lives are, and I'm not discounting the pressure that you're under there, wherever you are, whatever it is you're going through in your life. When you pray, if you pray for somebody else. Pray for them. And when you're praying for them, pray for the people down the street and around the corner from you. Because back there in the States also, there's something else happening. For some reason, that government of yours can't seem to figure out how to pay the bills. And so people there in the States are having to figure out how they're going to eat, because in just a couple of days, today is the 28th of November. Yep, 28th, Tuesday, the 28th. In just a couple of few days, their food subsidies are going to be not cut short. They're going to be ended altogether for who knows how long. Now, I know that there are a lot of people out there who are making these videos talking about, well, you have welfare queens, and we have more black people are getting food stamps than white people. Some people saying more white people are getting it than black people. Doesn't matter. It doesn't. That's all the superficial stuff that people want to cloud your mind with to get likes and views. It's a lot deeper than that. People are going to be hurt by this. And it's not just those people that you want to point your fingers at, to talk about, to try to shame and put down. Because billions of dollars are spent in grocery stores every day as a result of these programs. And when that money is not spent, you know what happens? It's a whole chain reaction. The girl at the Kroger checkout, or at Walmart checkout, or at Publix food checkout, or whatever, she's not ringing up as much food. And you know what the manager has to say? Well, we're not getting as many receipts, so we don't need as many people. So that girl who was working full time might have to go part time. Or if she was working part time, she might have just have to go out the door. So that person becomes unemployed. What about the person who stocks the shelves overnight, who works in the back of the grocery store, who unloads the trucks? We don't need them anymore. Why? Because there's not as much food is being taken off the shelves. And so, not as much food needs to be brought in. So we don't need that guy anymore. Why? Because there aren't as many people buying foods with EBT cards or whatever you want, whatever they are nowadays. And when all of that happens, you know who else we don't need? We don't need that trucker to bring that load in of eggs or sugar or rice or beans or whatever it is he was going to bring in. Why? Because there aren't as many people buying stuff at the checkout counter, and we don't need as many people stocking shelves, and we don't need as many people working in the warehouse in the back of the grocery store. So we don't need that trucker either. And if we don't need that trucker, then we don't need the people at the processing plants, because there aren't as many people buying food. Not only as the people in the processing plant getting hurt, the guy who's bringing the food to the processing plant, he's not needed. And the guy who's growing the food, well, he's not needed either. You realize what's happening here. People are looking at the surface issue of this thing. It's a lot deeper than that. And what we need to do is try to be a little bit more perspective, a little bit more look a little deeper, okay, than just what you see on the surface, because it goes a lot farther than that. And there are all too many people, all too happy, far too happy to just make videos to clown people, to shame people, to see just how mean we can be today. But that doesn't get us anywhere. I mean, you come out and you make a video about we're gonna run a bunch of videos together about people complaining about them not having food stamps or whatever you want to call it nowadays, and you think you've done something. You think you're the first person to have that conversation? We've been talking about this for I know 30 years, 40 years. It's not gonna stop. You think you're the first person? You're not bringing up anything new. Figure out a way to help. Do that, and I'll click on your video, I'll watch it, and I'll hit the like button. Heck, I might even subscribe. By the way, subscribe to this channel if you would, please. Hit that like button. I never think to ask that. But anyway, what are we doing? Or what should we be doing? We should be thanking our lucky stars. No. We should be saying, there but by the grace of God go I, for if not for him, my circumstances could be there the same as theirs. And so give thanks. And at the end of the day, try to help somebody. Please try to help somebody. It's important, because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. You and I, we are fearfully and wonderfully made creatures in the image of the Most High. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, be blessed.